Hi everybody, it's been a while since I've presented on the topic of SAP and SAP S for HANA, so I thought I would do a quick update on what's been happening and some of the new features. And I'm going to concentrate a little bit in this session on some of the new features and also some of the artificial intelligence and machine learning elements that we have now within the solution, which are fantastic. So the first thing to point out, of course, is that as you can see on my screen right now, the system looks a lot different. We've got a lot more colors and things going on in terms of the UI, and we have this idea of spaces and pages now, which allows us to have these pages here, and we can actually change these pages if we want to, and things like that, which are fabulous. We also have insights, and insights allow me to see things immediately. So as soon as I log in, that whole idea of the system continuously learning and showing me what's important to me is all part of that as well. So here I can see all my insights, and of course, because this is obviously the ERP, not the reporting layer, I can go straight down into these reports and things just by clicking. And again, lots of machine learning happening here. The system is actually looking at what's happening for my buffer levels, for my replenishment, so on and so forth. It even now has the ability to change data, which is fabulous. So when we look at the overdue materials, we can actually change things like lead times on materials and things like that based on machine learning to say, okay, what was the real lead time as opposed to what we set in the master data, and we set it up years and years ago. So there's some really neat stuff happening in that space around intelligence and machine learning within the system. Something else that's kind of neat too is, if you've set different cards up and things like that, you can change these in here. Or if you prefer the old kind of version, you can switch it off as well. So let me just show you that real quick. If I go into my settings here, I can choose that I don't want to use pages and spaces. I can just switch it off. There we go, done. And we're back to the more traditional kind of Fury view. Excuse me. So what we've got here, of course, is the Fury view, and we've got all our fabulous apps such as the inventory overview screens that show us all the inventory within my remit, and I can drill down into these areas as I need to. So fabulous stuff. Again, if I want to see the detail, all I've got to do is click, and I've got all the detail right here. I can see all my receipt amounts and everything. But if I want to, cut or slice this data in any way I see fit, I can simply do that by selecting it from the left-hand side, all my different attributes that I've got here. And then, of course, that data is displayed over to the right. Just like all the other stuff within S4HANA, I can, of course, use that to then jump to different areas or download it into a spreadsheet if I need to send it to somebody, or anything I want to do with it, basically. So all that data's here at my fingertips because this isn't a reporting layer. This is obviously the system of record. But let's go back to that topic about, machine learning and things like that. How does the system look and learn and all those types of things? And there's some great stuff that we have in here. If you one great example, of course, is just the search capability. Now, we can search for applications and things like that, but as we start to use these systems a bit more like we do our mobile phones and things like that, we can just search for anything. So let's say I don't know what's going on. A product has arrived. It might be a bike or something that's arrived in my receipting area. I don't know anything about it at all. All I need to do is type in a word that is kind of related to what it is, and the system will do an enterprise search based on things that I've searched on before, based on data that I have access to, and of course the roles and responsibilities that I can see. What the system has now done, based on all those things like roles and responsibilities and everything else, is it's actually looked at many, many thousand, well, in fact, in this case, 1.31 million records or instances where that word bike has appeared within our ERP system. So this is what we call our enterprise search. And the system learns to make this better and easier depending on what we've done in the past and what we're actually doing. So it's really, really neat. So let's say that I'm interested in, purchase orders for receipting because I work in the receipting area. Here I can just select those from my filtered list on the left-hand side, and then I can do something with these purchase orders. So I might want to look at them, I might want to do a goods receipt or whatever it happens to be. So it's really, really neat. So I can search in all these different ways, and it's just fantastic. The in-memory capability of having all that data at my fingertips is just amazing. It doesn't have to be, a natural language thing. If I just type in let's say, part of a product code or something like that, I can actually just find that in the system straight away as well. So all these things are there for me to look at. Again, this is one of the products I've been playing around with. I can see it in here from a material master kind of point of view, or the purchase orders that were raised against it, anything that we need to play with in here. So it's really neat. So that kind of search capability and those types of things is a real game changer, and it really opens the system up for others to play with. But there's the heaps of these machine learning capabilities within the S4HANA space nowadays. So another example here is slow or non-moving materials as a standard app that we now have. And I can click on this, and what it will basically do is, if I give it like a time that I want to look at, for, let's say, I want to look over 90 days of consumption for all my items, and let's just pick a date, let's say today. It needs a display currency for some reason. I'm not quite sure why it needs that. But basically what we can do here is we can look at all the items within the entire system. And I'm not sure if you saw how quick that was, but as soon as I press this go button, it's done it across the entire enterprise, all the materials across all my plants, and pulled out there and looked at which ones are fast moving, slow moving, and those types of things. And using its prior history of machine learning, it can then rate them to say, are these going to have a problem in the future? So you don't need to be a rocket scientist to see here that which one of our plants has got the most non or slow moving items. And you can see here it's got a huge monetary value against it. And if you saw that pop up, it's $132 trillion worth of stock in here. Of course, this is a demonstration system. But, what it's basically doing, of course, is it's looking at that and then working out this slow moving indicator in here, what's actually going on with it. And it's working that slow moving indicator out automatically. It's not like I'm having to tell it to do anything. It's actually calculating that based on machine learning to say, okay, it's working out why this is slow moving stock. Let me just run that report again just to show you how quick that actually was. So pulling a report, slow no moving materials, giving it a date, pressing the go button, bang, it's running that, and of course running that across the entire enterprise. So you probably noticed there the second time I ran that, it's much quicker because again it's learning and it's looking at what we're doing. Now if we were to look at one of these products in here, there's a bike, I searched for a bike earlier I guess, but if I look at that you can see it's got a high slow moving indicator. So this is probably one that's going to be a bit of an issue for us. So what I can do is I can click into that item and it will show me why it gave it that high rating as something that you might want to look at. So what it's doing here is it's looking at the movement in the past and giving me a prediction of what's going to happen in the future. And of course, what's going to happen in the future is not much. So if we've got a lot of stock, the consumption is just not going to happen for this particular item, and therefore it will tell me that you're going to have a problem based on that. So of course it's looking at the stock quantity and what the slow moving indicator is and telling me that this item might be something that you want to have a bit of a look at. So just a quick example of machine learning and how the system's actually using that within the solution to give me notifications and things on potential problems. Now, as I mentioned notifications, one of the great things that we've put into the system these days is something called situation handling. Now, situation handling is a great tool. What it allows us to do, again, is to get the system to do the work for me and actually continuously search and make sure it's looking at particular situations that I'm interested in. If it finds a situation that it's interested in, what it will do is actually alert me using the alerts here at the top right. So you can see here I've currently got 9 alerts. These could also be approvals and things like that because they also come through as notifications. But in here, I can see here that I've got some overdue stock transport orders from plant to plant, and I've also got one that I've set up in here as an alert, and they're coming through to me. So what I'm going to do is show you how that situation handling works and how it's actually set up. So let me go into my situation handling page here, and I'm going to go into my situation types, and I've got one that I've been playing with for one of my areas here. Let's just get that real quick. So here's my my situation type. The situation type denotes kind of what types of documents are you looking at in the system, and we've got hundreds of these different situation types standard, and of course we copy them and create our own. So the basic situation type is looking at the type of materials or templates or documents and things like that you actually want to have the situation about. So in this case, my situation is around stock transport movements, because that's what we're playing with. And what I can do is if I click edit here, I can change things like what's the wording going to be. So this might be stock checker, movement checker, whatever it is. How do you want to show it? What kind of text do you want on here? Let me remove the word test from there, and you'll see that when it actually comes up as an alert in a minute, that's not going to show the word test, which is great. So on and so forth. And then we can change, what it looks like, who gets notified. But the important thing of this is the conditions themselves. So what is it actually trying to find? What situation is it trying to achieve or find in the system? And we can have multiple conditions here. So if A is true, so it might be, is my stock higher than a certain amount? Is the movement of this type? Is it picking up particular batch types? Who created it, all this kind of stuff. And we can use wildcards and things like that in here. So in this case, I'm just trying to find all materials that happen to be moving that have got the term JM in the description. But of course, it could be anything. You can look at the quantity, the time, the processing type, all that kind of stuff. All these kind of filters and things, it's really saying, what are you trying to find? So then you can say, how often do you want it to actually to process? And of course, how often do you want it to do this check? And when it does the check, who do you want to tell? Who do you want to actually alert to the situation if the situation happens? So let me now save that, because I just made that slight change of taking the word test out of the situation. Alert, that is. So what I can do now is, again, just remember I've got no notifications at the top right here at the moment. But if I click on trigger now and run this situation finder, if you will, the actual to go and try and find my situations, if I click trigger now, it will say, yep, I've gone and done that. And we'll see if you just very quickly look at the top right hand side, it's immediately given me an alert because it's found one or more instances where the conditions were true. It's also showing me a little report here, but if as a user, you probably wouldn't really see that. As a user, what you actually see, of course, is I've got my notification coming up. And again, we can send these notifications out to phones and emails and all that kind of stuff. So now if I click on that notification, you'll see here that it's now saying stock transport material, not stock transport material test, because I've changed it. And if I click on that, it will take me to a report which will show where all the instances of that situation have occurred and what's actually happening with them. So here I can see all the documents that are based on the criteria that were set in the situation, and it's actually now showing them for me in here. And it's also putting this little flag on here to say that there was a situation with this item, because of course I've created the situation. Now, if you choose to, you can of course go into these different transactions, and of course we can fix them in here and things like that. And we can also close the situation. So what that means is basically, I've got the it actually has two because it's overdue and it's picked up my situation as well. But I can also close the situation, and what that means is basically I can resolve that and say, okay, don't show me that anymore. I'm not interested in that particular document being alerted to it in the future. So that's neat. You can actually close it down, or of course you can just take action on it. You can actually fix what the problem is in here, which is fantastic. So that situation handling and the ability to do those types of things is just wonderful in the system. One quick thing I want to show you as well is a lot of the Fiori apps are now enabled with scanning. And this is fantastic because if you're using mobile devices and things like that, we can use the capabilities of those devices to actually to work with the system and interact with it. In this particular case, I'm going to show you on a PC because I'm recording this as a demonstration, but of course you could use any device to do this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pause the video for a second because I need to turn off my camera so that I can use the capabilities of my PC in terms of the camera. Okay, so that just took a few moments to turn the camera off from the screen recording. So now if I go back into this this app here, or go into the app, so I've not been here before, and you'll see now I have this scan button, which is kind of neat. So again, you can use this on any device, any phone or tablet or anything else. So I could type in a material number here, and it will do a little search and find it and things like that, which is great. But now I've got my scan button, so let me click on that. And what it's going to do here is it's actually going to switch my camera on. So again, you can see me, here I am, but if I want to scan the actual product, I can just give it the barcode, and now it's picked up the barcode straight away and entered that into the system. So again, this is fabulous stuff because of course we can use this for stock taking, for being out on the shop floor, scanning items and things like that. Really, really neat. Okay, so just turning my actual camera back on again so you can see me. And yeah, so there's some really neat stuff in S/4HANA Cloud in this case, and what you can basically see is all of these new apps and everything else, all the new machine learning elements and things like that, all in here as standard. Yeah, some really great stuff. So hope you enjoyed that and saw some neat features there around machine learning, and of course the new capabilities around the user experience that we offer now with S/4HANA. Thank you very much for watching.